You're late, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 3 hours, but the moment you turn the key in the door, there they are, not startled, not surprised, waiting, right there, as if they always knew. And the strange part, they did. Most people assume their dog just hears the car or recognizes footsteps. Familiar sounds triggering a conditioned response, but behavioral science tells a different story, a far more extraordinary one. Your dog doesn't just hear you coming. They feel how long you've been gone. Think about the last time you came home after an unusually long day. Maybe you expected the same tail wag, the same greeting. But something felt different, didn't it? More intense, more frantic, like they had been counting the minutes. Here's the question that researchers started asking. If dogs can't read clocks, if they have no calendar, no phone to check, no way of knowing it's Tuesday afternoon, then how do they know? The answer doesn't live in their ears. It doesn't live in their eyes. It lives in a system so ancient, so deeply embedded in dog biology, that most of us walk past it every single day without ever noticing. It begins with something invisible. Most dog owners believe the answer is simple. Dogs recognize routines. They hear familiar sounds, the scratch of your key, the rumble of your engine. They've learned your patterns through repetition, and on the surface, that seems perfectly reasonable. Pavlov taught us that animals are extraordinarily good at conditioning. Ring a bell, feed a dog, ring the bell enough times. The dog will salivate before the food ever arrives. So, of course, your dog knows you're coming. They've memorized your schedule, except that explanation starts to fall apart the moment you look closely. Because if conditioning were the whole answer, then your dog would react the same way, whether you were gone for 20 minutes or 8 hours. But they don't. Studies observing dog behavior at home have filmed this directly. Dogs show measurably different arousal levels depending on how long their owner has been away. Short absence, calm greeting, long absence, overwhelming reunion. So they are measuring duration without a clock. And here's where things get genuinely fascinating. Because the mechanism dogs use to track time is the same system they use to understand the world in ways we still don't fully comprehend. Scent. Dogs have a nose that operates on a completely different plane than ours. Humans have roughly 6 million olfactory receptors. Dogs have up to 300 million. Their brain dedicates 40 times more neural real estate to processing smell. But it isn't just about detecting more. It's about detecting time itself. Here's what researchers discovered. When you leave your home, you leave behind a scent profile. Your smell saturates the space, the sofa, the floors, the air itself. At full strength, it's like a signal broadcasting. I was just here. But scent degrades. It fades in a predictable, measurable way. And your dog tracks that decay. Scientists at Emory University, led by neuroscientist Gregory Burns, used fMRI scanning to study how dogs process scent-based information. Their findings revealed something remarkable. When dogs encountered the scent of their owner, the caudate nucleus, the brain's reward center, lit up in ways that simply didn't happen with the sense of strangers. And the response wasn't just recognition, it was anticipation. Meanwhile, researchers studying canine circadian rhythms found that dogs maintain internal biological clocks strongly synchronized to the routines and scent patterns of their primary attachment figures. Not just to mealtimes, not just to walks, but to you, specifically. Personally, your dog is literally calibrating their internal clock to the fading signal of your presence. When the scent drops below a certain threshold, when the air starts to feel empty of you, that's when they begin watching the door. But we have to be careful here, because this isn't just biology, it's attachment. The same framework John Bowlby developed to explain human-infant bonding, the need for a safe base, the anxiety of separation, the relief of reunion, applies remarkably closely to dogs. Dogs don't just like you, they attach to you. You become their secure base, the emotional anchor from which they explore the world. And when you leave, that anchor is gone. The monitoring of your scent, the waiting by the door, the frantic greeting, these are not random behaviors. They are expressions of a profound, deeply felt bond. They are your dog saying, the world feels safer when you're in it. And I am waiting for the world to feel safe again. Let's go even deeper. When you leave, your dog's body responds with measurable physiological changes. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, rises. Heart rate may increase. Restlessness sets in, not because your dog is dramatic, because they are genuinely biologically stressed. But here's the other side of the equation. When you return, something extraordinary happens in your dog's brain. Oxytocin floods the system, the same neurochemical released in human mothers when they hold their newborns, the same chemical that fires when humans fall in love. And this isn't one way. Researcher Miho Nagasawa and her team at Azabu University in Japan discovered that when dogs and their owners gaze into each other's eyes, both experience a mutual spike in oxytocin. The dog's levels rise, and so do yours. You're not just comforting your dog when you return home. Your dog is regulating your nervous system, and you are regulating theirs. You have become each other's biological pharmacy. To really understand this, we need to go back, a long way back. Somewhere between 15,000 and 40,000 years ago, something happened that changed both species forever. Wolves, some of them the ones less fearful of humans, began orbiting human settlements, following hunters, scavenging the edges of camps, and somewhere in that slow, careful proximity, a partnership emerged. Humans got a sentinel, an early warning system, a hunting companion. Wolves got food, warmth, and protection. But evolution doesn't just shape bodies, it shapes brains. Over thousands of generations, the wolves that survived were the ones attuned to humans, the ones that read human faces, responded to human emotion, formed attachments, the ones that knew when their human was present and when they were gone. The behavioral science around your dog waiting at the door isn't just psychology. It is 15,000 years of coevolution, compressed into one small anxious moment by the window. But here's the detail that stopped researchers in their tracks. Dogs don't just track scent to estimate your return. They adapt. In a remarkable set of experiments, behavioral scientists found that dogs whose owners had unpredictable schedules showed higher baseline anxiety, not just during absences, but constantly. Their cortisol levels were elevated even when the owner was home. Inconsistency itself became a source of chronic stress. But dogs with owners who maintained predictable routines, even owners who were away for longer hours, showed significantly lower anxiety profiles because their dog could model the pattern, could trust that the scent would return to full strength at a reliable time. This means your schedule doesn't just affect your dog's greeting, it shapes their entire emotional baseline. Your predictability is a form of love. Let's slow down here for a moment, because what we've been describing isn't just interesting science, it's one of the most quietly profound things you will ever learn about your dog. Every time your dog positions themselves near the door before you arrive, they are not performing a trick, they are not following a protocol. They are doing the most honest, vulnerable thing a living creature can do. They are waiting. They are hoping. They are measuring, with a biological precision we still don't fully understand, how close you might be to coming home. And that waiting, that anxious, devoted waiting, is the clearest possible expression of what you mean to them. You are not just their owner. You are their entire emotional landscape. But here's something important we need to address, because changes in this behavior matter. If your dog has always greeted you at the door, and suddenly they don't. If a dog who once waited now seems indifferent, or stays in another room, or greets you without energy, pay attention. Veterinary behaviorists note that sudden changes in greeting behavior are among the earliest observable signs of physical pain, illness, or significant psychological distress. Dogs instinctively mask pain, but their behavior changes. The absence of the greeting isn't coldness. It may be a language telling you something is wrong. Equally, a sudden increase in frantic behavior, a dog who begins pacing, vocalizing, or showing destructive behavior when left alone, may be crossing from normal attachment into clinical separation anxiety. Both directions are worth noticing. Both are worth talking to your vet about. So let's bring this all together. Your dog knows you're late, not because of habit alone, not just because of sound, but because they are reading the world through a biological system calibrated over thousands of years to track your presence with stunning accuracy. They monitor the decay of your scent like a fading heartbeat. They carry an internal clock synchronized not to the sun, but to you. They hold within them an oxytocin-driven attachment that mirrors the deepest human bonds. And they do all of this from the most faithful corner of the room, quietly, without asking for anything, just waiting. There is no human equivalent for what your dog feels in that moment of reunion. No word that quite captures it, but neuroscience comes close. It calls it relief. The next time you come home, maybe you're 10 minutes late. Maybe it's been a long one. Before you check your phone, before you drop your keys on the counter and move on with your evening, notice them. Notice the eyes that found you the moment you opened the door. The body that moved toward you before you even said their name. That animal studied every empty minute of your absence, read the room with a precision no instrument could match, and decided, as they do every single time, that you were worth waiting for. 15,000 years of evolution, thousands of generations of trust, distilled into a tail wagging by the front door. You can't rush past that. If this changed the way you see your dog, even just a little, hit the subscribe button. We go this deep every week. Dog psychology, animal behavior, the hidden science of the bond between humans and animals. And I want to know, does your dog wait by the door? Do they seem to know when you're running late? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one.